Hi, my name is Pete. This is Studio Live today, where I help you create, record and release your best music. And why is there such a big smile on my face right now? Well, I have just finished the process of mixing, mastering and now releasing my new album called Selfish Aware. It is available right now in your Spotify's, in your iTunes and Apple Music's, in your Google Play, anywhere good music or even my music is sold and streamed. You can pick up a copy and take a listen. So we have been going through the process in the last 12 episodes of this series. I've been reviewing my final mixes. I've been doing my mastering, which I did in Final Touch. I went through the gear that I used in the last installment. And in this one, we'll be kind of wrapping things up. I'm going to give you the 5 biggest insights that I had from recording, mixing, mastering, releasing, particularly doing it in a home studio environment with some of the gear that I've already showed you, and especially because I did it in GarageBand on my iPhone and my iPad. So let's dive in now, and I will review what I have found and what I've discovered over the past almost year that I've been putting this album together. Let's go. So a little bit of a background about my musical experience before we jump in. So I've been creating music in some form or another for close to 30 years, ever since I was about 10 years old, tinkering on the piano. That turned into computer-based sequencing that I did sort of through the early to mid-90s. I then formed a punk rock band with 2 of my friends, which was called Scarpa. Has our demo tape that I have here. That's how old school I am. We have a demo tape. So we played for a few years, did some recordings, wrote some songs. That was super fun. And then it was in my sort of early to mid 20s that music kind of took a back seat. I started working full time. I met my wife. Then we got married, had family, did all of that sort of stuff. And it was only about 2 years ago that I went, it's actually ridiculous that I'm not creating music. I love it. It's something that I'm passionate about. Why wouldn't I do it? I need to find the time, because I was using time as my excuse. I'm like, I'm too busy. I have to work. I have to care for my family. I have to do all of these other things. I have to go out with my friends, whatever. There wasn't time. So I drew a line in the sand and said, I have to make time. So at that point, I started things like this channel. I started recording, and I picked up a little thing called GarageBand, which has kind of changed the way that I've been recording and creating music for about the last 2 years now. So that's a little bit of background of where I'm at now. I play guitar, as you know, I play piano, I sing, and the rest of it has kind of been a learning experience for me. So the recording process, the mixing, the mastering, the releasing, all of the in-between stuff has been a learning experience for me. And what I'm hoping is that through these sort of experiences, I'm helping other people learn, helping other people understand what is needed, and hopefully that you can now start producing. As I say, I want you to create, record and release your best music. So that's what I wanted to go through now. I'm going to give you the 5 big lessons that I learnt here doing this process, and this is by no means a definitive list, but I wanted to capture it while I just finished this. The album is just out. This is really fresh in my mind, and then I can spend the next few weeks and months doing some more content that's going to give you some more information and some more detailed information. But for now, hopefully this will just give you a bit of an idea of some of the lessons that I've learned. Okay, so let's get underway, and in no particular order, but I guess it's number 1, time and time management. So if you're anything like me, and chances are if you're watching this content, you are a little bit like me at least, then you don't have 24 hours, 7 days a week to focus on music, to write and record and release your music. So you're having to find windows and pockets of time to do that. Now, there's different ways to do this. My advice is to schedule it. I'm a big scheduler. I like to actually have a calendar and go, I'm going to spend this hour doing this. I get up really early, so I've swapped from being a night owl to a morning person. So I get up at ridiculous o'clock and spend the first hour of my day in that creative mode, because I just tend to find I can write really good song lyrics. I can do a little bit of the admin on the PC if I need to. I can grab my iPhone or my iPad and my guitar even and get some ideas down. So finding windows of time. Don't not do it because you don't have a big chunk of time. If you've got 15 minutes, then grab a pen and a piece of paper and write down some lyric ideas or grab your iPhone or your smartphone or whatever and start doing things, because you are never going to be ready. You're never going to have that big window of time to do it. And as soon as I kind of got over that and realized that I just needed to start and just needed to start creating, that's where it happened. And things like I joined a group which is the Song Spark Collaborative, where we create a song every month based on a particular song idea. So things like that are great because they give you that time pressure, and pressure is not inherently bad. Time pressure is not inherently bad. If you have a deadline, that can actually really help you. I had a deadline to finish this album by the 1st of August, and I did it. Am I super happy with absolutely every component? No. Could I have done a little bit better if I spent another month agonizing over every little mix and tweak? Yes. Would it have given me a better product in the end? Maybe a little bit. Anyway, you get the point here, is you need to finish. You need to get things done. So managing your time, finding those chunks and those windows of time and those opportunities is going to help you create. And there's no way I would have got this album done if I didn't borrow and beg from those little chunks of 15 minutes here and 30 minutes there and really manage my time effectively. Number 2. Don't worry about the gear. I know I just did a video about gear, and even in that video I said don't worry about the gear. Don't stress that you don't have the right stuff to record right now. It's a great excuse because we can say, well, I would create the world's greatest album, except my guitar is not good enough and my interface isn't good enough, my microphone's not good enough. No, just get started. 2 of the tracks on this song are recorded before I had my new guitar, before I had my MXL microphone here. I was using some older gear. They sound good. You probably don't even know unless you've been following closely which ones they are, because I spent a lot of time. I made sure I recorded them. I got it right at the source. I made sure that the initial recording sounds were good. And then when I went to mix and master, they fit in nicely. They were fine. A lot of the backing vocals, I mentioned this in my last video, a lot of the backing vocals on this album were recorded using the headset mic. And some were even outdoors. Some I went for a walk in the parklands at lunchtime and recorded my backing vocals. So don't sweat about the gear. A lot of people have what we call gear acquisition syndrome, where they spend all of their time just getting new gear. They're like, what's the next bit of gear I can get that's going to make me better? And it's like, when was the last time you released a song? Yeah, I should really get around to doing that. Don't be that person. Don't have gas. Make sure that you are actually creating and recording and releasing your music, because it's not art until it's complete and able to be shared. Otherwise, you're just practicing, which is fine. Go for it. Practice as much as you want. But we want to see you share your music and share your art. Number 3, and I know a lot of you will want a little bit more of the technical info, and don't worry, we've got videos coming up where I go into a whole bunch of technical stuff. I just wanted to get to the high level stuff, but this one's a little bit technical, and this is about your recording levels. And the one thing I've learned over and over again throughout this whole process is that lower is better. So recording at a lower volume, and you know what, I am a broken record about this, because I talk about not distorting and not clipping and not giving a hot signal. So not turning your input gain and your input volume up on your interface or your microphone or whatever you're recording, your guitar, to being really loud. That's a throwback from the analog days where we needed a really loud signal. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to overcome the tape hiss. You wouldn't be able to overcome the noise floor. We've now got, even in the affordable stuff I'm talking about here, we've got a really low noise floor, really low background noise. You don't need to worry about that. We're in a digital environment. Don't forget that if you record something low and you turn it up, there's not a whole lot of noise there. You're not going to increase that noise floor substantially. So, don't be recording it so low that you can't see the waveforms. That's not going to be practical either. But find that point. 50 to 60 to 70% up your VU meters is fine. If you are tapping that yellow, orange, red on a consistent basis, then you're going too hard and you're going to get into trouble. So what I learned in the practical application of this is that you want your mixes to have a lot of headroom. So once you've done your final mix and you go to master, you want to have a lot of headroom there. So you want a good 6 dBs of clean headroom, which means that you shouldn't be peaking anywhere near 0. You should be down at -6 at the absolute max, preferably down at -12. And if this doesn't mean much to you, if you're just starting out, don't stress too much. Just keep the fundamental principle in mind, which is that less is more when it comes to volume. And when you are recording, keep your volumes lower than you think, even than you think that will have to be. Just go conservative, because you can dial it up. If you go to dial it down, you're not going to have that space. And some of my final masters did suffer on this album because I didn't have enough headroom to add the processing and mastering that I wanted to. And in an upcoming video where I go through my complete mastering process, you'll see what I mean about that. Number 4, keep it simple. I can't tell you how many times I had to tell myself this throughout this process. I would start doing something and then it would iterate, it would get more and more complex. And you saw it in some of the songs if you've watched some of those videos. I would record a guitar track and then I'd layer another guitar and another guitar and another guitar. In the end, I'd end up with a big muddy mess that I would then go in and mute, strip out, and then it got back to something that was manageable. So if you've got a good sound, if something's sounding good, you're not going to improve it by increasing the complexity, by adding more layers. Sometimes, yeah, you want a doubled vocal that's going to add some thickness to your vocal. Great. You want a second guitar to add some thickness to your guitars or some variety to have a left and right stereo spread. Fantastic. You want to add a cool little synth melody in your second verse. I'm all for that. You need variety. What you don't need is to go, oh, there's a little gap there, let's fill it. Because as any sort of artist knows, whether you're a painter or a sculptor or a musician, you need that emptiness. You need that white space around what is going on. Because if it's all just full on, then it is going to struggle. And if you listen to the album, a lot of the tracks, I managed to get that simplicity. There's a couple, so Sin, I'm still not super happy with. It's still a bit of a crunchy, messy sort of sound because I went too hard. I went for too much. I didn't keep it simple. I think that song could be improved if I had just simplified it on the way in and recorded it in a simpler way. So keeping it simple, especially when you're starting out, you don't need to overcomplicate things. You can get a good sound. And my song Anxiety is one of my favorite tracks on this album, and I recorded it in just 4 tracks. So it was 4 tracks. I had vocals and guitars. I had a cardboard box bass drum in one track. So there are ways to just keep it simple but still get a good sound. So that's my number 4 tip, is keep it simple. And number 5, and probably my most important tip in this whole process, is to sing, to play, to create like no one is watching. Now that may sound really strange coming from someone like me who does most of my creating in front of a camera with plenty of people watching, but I'll let you in on a little secret, and the hint is in the title of my album, Selfish Aware. I'm a fairly self-conscious and introverted soul. I just happen to have practiced over 200 videos and plenty of time doing this sort of content and become much more comfortable doing this in front of other people. When I started out, I couldn't play a song in front of my own wife and my own children because of fear of it wasn't good enough, how would they judge me? And of course they wouldn't judge me, and other people won't be judging you, but that is an absolutely natural instinct to have. So how do you get around that? How are you going to help with that? Well, it's about creating your own space when you're recording. Find a time when everyone's out of the house. You've got the house to yourself. No one is watching. There's no one around. Because what you need to do to create your best music, you need to be comfortable. You need to be able to let go. You need to be able to completely sing or play or create with passion. And it can be hard to do that. You tend to sing within yourself or play within yourself if you don't have that freedom, if you feel like you may be being judged. And if it's just you and your digital audio workstation, your phone, your iPad, your whatever, you've got the delete key, you've got the power. You can sing it. If you miss the note by a lot, then no problem. You go undo, you sing it again, you try it again. It doesn't matter. No one has to know it. No one has to judge you at that point. And what you will find is, and I had this conversation recently when someone was asking me about some singing advice, and I said, if you sing within yourself, what you tend to find is you'll probably be out of tune a little bit in a lot of notes. If you just blast out your vocals, you'll probably miss some spectacularly, but the ones you hit will be hit almost perfectly. So do you want to have a constant mediocrity, or do you want to go for gold? And I use the analogy in that, which is that you're not going to hit a home run by bunting. So that's a baseball term, or if for folks here in Australia, you're not going to hit a 6 with a forward defensive shot. It just means that you do have to swing for the fences if you want to try and get something that's going to be your absolute best. And it means that when you fail, you are going to fail spectacularly, but enjoy that. Enjoy the failure. It's just a learning experience. It just means that, okay, I'll try that a bit different. In one of my songs, Drinking for You, there was a little yodeling bit. And originally that yodeling bit was about a fifth higher, and I tried to sing it over and over again, and it was the funniest stuff. I probably deleted all the takes, but if I can find them, I'll play them. But yeah, I just missed it every single time. And eventually I'm like, hey, why don't I just drop this down like by 5 tones? And then, yay, it worked. But again, without trying that, without giving it a go, I wouldn't have worked out how it was going to sound the best. And yeah, it may have actually worked out. I did a rap in my song Sin. That was way out of my comfort zone. The first 10 times I did that, it sounded awful. And, you know, it's still not amazing. But it just shows that, yeah, if you just try something, just do it with passion and try it your absolute best, find that comfort space. So that's, for me, something really important, because a lot of folks in music are similar to me. They're very introverted and perhaps lacking a little bit of self-confidence and the ability to just go out there and crush it. And yeah, you just need to practice. You just need to keep going and keep trying, because you are going to improve over time. But don't hold back within yourself. Find a way to give it 110%. So let me finish here by asking a question. When are you going to start your next musical creation? Now, you already have the gear because you are watching this on a device that I'm pretty sure is capable of capturing music and recording. You have the time because everyone can find 10 minutes. You found 10 minutes to watch this video, so you can find another 10 minutes to sit down and write something. And don't confuse finishing with starting. That's the thing that can become really daunting to a lot of people, is that they're like, I don't have the time to write a whole song, a whole verse, chorus, outro, all the chord progressions, everything. Just write a bit of it. You'll be really surprised that if you just write one verse, one chorus, one chord progression, one riff, and you do that repeatedly, a song pops up before you notice. It really doesn't take a long time to get a song structure together. And the feeling that you get afterwards, once you've completed something, is amazing. So you do need to just get started. If you've been on the fence and you've been sitting back waiting to get started, the time is now. The best time to start anything is to start it right now. So before you go on and watch any more videos on YouTube or do anything else, why not? You got a guitar, grab your guitar, play 10 minutes of guitar, grab a piece of paper and a pen and start writing out some lyrics. Do something that's going to help push you forward in your creative journey. And last but certainly not least, a massive thank you to everyone who has been providing encouragement, who's been providing comments and feedback and suggestions, not only through this project, through the album recording, but over the last 2+ years. There's some folks here that have been with me since pretty much day one, and a whole bunch of the rest of you who have joined me along the journey. And I've got to tell you that every single time I get a comment from someone that's providing encouragement, or even if it's providing a way that I could do something better, I really do appreciate it. It really does help, and it helps me learn more. And as I mentioned in the video here, this is definitely something that's outside of my comfort zone. If you don't believe me, go back and watch some of the earlier videos. You'll get a bit of a laugh. But it has been something that I've always wanted to do, but and just like creating music, always something I've wanted to do, but haven't really been able to find the courage and the motivation to actually just sit down and do it. So for me to have an album released now that's available, that's kind of been something that's been on my list of to-do things. And I actually said on my Facebook page the other day that one day has become one day. So that was on July the 31st, where it was the day before I released my album. And it's funny that, yeah, I really would like to release an album one day, went to, I'm going to release an album in one day. And that was really, really cool. And as I said, I could not have done that without the support of everyone here that's watched these videos. So massive thank you to everyone. You all know who you are, and I'm down in the comments all the time chatting to you there, which I will continue to do. So thank you again for watching this. Thank you for all of the comments and suggestions, and of course you can leave more of them on this video, and I'll see you on the next video. Hey, thanks again for watching. Now, a lot of you produce your own music, so what tips do you have for other people producing their music? Let us know down in the comments. You can also subscribe to the channel by clicking on the Studio Live Today icon, or you can head on over to studiolivetoday.com for more audio goodness.